A goodly evening, this is Nerdist a Human, and welcome to this guide to unlocking all factions in Medieval 2's America's Kingdoms DLC. As you boot up the game, there are 4 playable factions, but 4 more can be unlocked with consummate ease, and another 2 are possible to add in with a few steps of simple modding. Today I will take you through those steps. As you open the game, you'll find that the Apachean tribes, the Aztec Empire, the Mayans and New Spain are all playable from the outset. These campaigns give you fun variety. The Aztecs have a large empire in the middle of all the action and can get flattened surprisingly easily. The Mayans are more isolated and a slower start, which allows a more relaxed building of empire as you push west and the English arrive. New Spain have tech advantages but struggle with the numbers of men they can field. And finally, the Apache are initially weak but very numerous, with unique mechanics for learning how to adapt gunpowder and horse units from the Europeans. In time, they become monsters. But there are some more unlockable factions. 3 of them, the Chichimec, the Tarascans and the Tlaxcalans, can all be unlocked together by winning a short or long campaign, or they can be unlocked individually by defeating the whole faction in another campaign. If you don't fancy doing this, then there is an incredibly quick piece of editing you can do to make these playable from the start. These extra campaigns add a few fun playthroughs into the mix, but that still leaves 3 factions left for us to unlock: New France, the English Colonies and the Rebels. The Rebels are surprisingly simple to mod into the game, and we'll start with them and the 3 unlockable factions. So let's head into the game folders and make these changes. Once you've found your Medieval 2 folder in your computer, you need to head into the mods folder. Do note though that my files are already unpacked and you will need to unpack them if you haven't already done so. I do have a guide for that though, so do follow that in a little link down below and also at the top right corner of your screen. So once we've got that done, we can head into mods and into the Americas subfolder. From there into data, down to world, into maps, into campaign, Imperial campaign, and then we need this file here, Desca_strat. Once inside the file, you can see that Spain, the Aztecs, the Mayans and the Apaches are already listed as playable factions. To move the unlockables, all we need to do is highlight them and cut them and paste them in over here. We'll just make sure we keep the formatting right. The other faction, of course, are the slaves, referring to the rebels. We can do the same for them. Paste them up here, select your formatting, and we can simply save this up and load the game. Back inside the game, we can see that these 3 factions, which normally need unlocking via victory in the campaign, are now available from the very start. If you're that way inclined, then now we can see not only the campaign is available, but we've also got the full description and some campaign victory rules, which is absolutely marvellous. Now, the Rebels don't quite get the same treatment here. They're obviously not meant to be played as, but they are completely now available for us to use. This is a previously unplayable faction and are really a fascinating one. This is a genuinely unique campaign. I have played many Rebel campaigns on this channel, but this Rebels campaign was totally different. There are stacks of full armies from the word go. The Europeans offer you almost no units of any value and are incredibly dangerous to fight. And most importantly, this is a non-cavalry, non-artillery and non-boat run. Neither recruiting or respawning will you ever access these units, and so adapting your battle tactics is a steep learning curve. This is one campaign I cannot recommend highly enough. It is an intense and incredibly tough one, but do give this campaign a go and let me know how it unfolds in the comments below. Whilst the Rebels are a fun challenge, we should take a moment to consider the other 3 factions we just added in. The Chichimec are a great option for someone who likes a moment to build their empire. They are relatively isolated, and whilst their army is just a little bit uninspiring, you should have time and space to grow the empire you desire. The Tlaxcalans are thrown right into the bear pit, and it offers a very different kind of campaign, with the Aztec Empire and the Spanish surrounding you pretty much on all sides. There is, though, the chance to break out with your large army and to begin your campaign with a brutal war for supremacy in central Mexico. The Tarascans campaign sits somewhere in the middle and they mostly border rebels. With some weakened and distracted Aztecs to the east though, there is ample opportunity for mischief. And to the north, the aforementioned Chichimec will eventually pose a problem, but their position gives a fun balance of options for how you can proceed. Although it should be said that this army standing on the border here probably suggests what way the game thinks you should go. Before we move on to New France and England, allow me to take a moment to give a big thanks to all my channel members and patrons for supporting the content here on the channel, and also to remind you that if you want to support the channel yourself, then you can follow the links in the description to my Patreon, Ko-fi or YouTube membership page. Onto the final two factions. Both New France and England are in the game and are programmed to arrive around turn 20 to 30 and turn 40 to 50 respectively. When editing, you can of course change the starting point for the faction, and on that note, both of these campaigns already have their own dedicated guide, as they are slightly more complicated than simply moving the faction to the playable list, albeit that is the first step. Remember, to make more than the most basic edits, you may well need to unpack the files and ensure that your preference file is set up correctly. There is a guide to that here, and do check out the modding playlist to see what else you could edit to make your campaign that bit more enjoyable. Both factions will begin at turn 1 rather than being emergent, and they will need a settlement given to them as well as their events being tweaked to make the experience the best possible. Now that might sound just a little bit complicated, but it is actually fairly straightforward. I'll put links to the dedicated guides in the description and at the top of the screen. But for now, here is a little overview of their situations. Both New France and England have similar style campaigns to New Spain, with low numbers but high quality troops. With France arriving in the north, they have a far more relaxed campaign, taking over rebel territories before smashing into the Apache and spreading southwards. Whilst the small settlement size can be a stumbling block here, it is arguably much easier than the English, who end up at the far south and hit the mines pretty swiftly. The various starting points of these campaigns add some fun variety to the New Spain style of campaign, so I would recommend giving these challenges a go. The tight but slightly different unit rosters are a fun change from the base game. And that's it for today's short modding video. Do let me know what other modding videos you are interested in seeing in the future. Thank you for joining me here today, but for now I will leave you. I'm Thomas, this is Taskin, Human, and this has been a guide to unlocking all the factions in Medieval 2's America's Kingdoms DLC. Thank you friends, and tally-ho. Today we're going to go for particularly aggressive diplomacy. Oh yes, it worked. Kablamo! You were always going to die, Steve. Oh! My feudal knights! My crispy feudal knights! The ram's burning! Right at the death!